Okay. Hi again, everyone. Welcome on board. We are very happy to have you all here. And today we are going to be talking about virtual reality technology and how it could be used in higher education institutions. My name is Orkun Ceylan, the Customer Success Manager of 3D Telo Finland. And if we haven't met before, we are a Finnish company based in Kuopio, working in extended reality industry, and nowadays, especially in the training sector. And as a speaker today, I have Mitri Sinko, our sales director, and my partner in crime with me. Hi, Mitri.
Hello, everybody.
And if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat during the session. And I would like to mention that you can ask the questions in Finnish if it's more convenient for you, and we will go through them in the end of this webinar session. So the agenda of today goes like this. I will be sharing the industry insights on virtual trainings and immersive learning technologies, and what are the advantages over traditional learning methods. And then Mitri will explain what are the exact benefits while comparing it with the e-learning or traditional classroom learning methods. And then we are going to share examples how organizations use these technologies in their benefits. So coming back to today's topic, virtual reality has so much potential to transform the way we learn and teach, from providing in-depth knowledge to helping us understand very complex subjects, actually. Its use is limitless as far as your imagination goes. And let's start with this video. Sorry. One second, I will quickly come back to this presentation. So yeah, this video was from an organization focusing on using virtual reality for education, and it is actually back from 2018. And as you could see, it had 3D modeled environments, which basically looks like a game, as the idea was to teach about historical moments and events. But remember that this can also be done with real life content, and where we would come and capture the real life environments and create a training on top of that. It is already widely used in schools for young children, and we are starting to see it's being used more and more in higher education for a couple of reasons. And those are including the ability to enhance the learning experience or even helping with student recruitment in universities. And in this webinar, we make the case for using VR in higher education, showing how and why it's being used, with also real examples of universities who are already taking full advantage of this technology. But before that, let's maybe talk about the benefits and differences of using VR in education, Mitri. What would be the top values for educational organizations to use VR?
Yes, I'm glad to tell more about the benefits. And actually, this is our fourth webinar, or is it fifth webinar for this spring?
Yeah.
Fifth, yes, right away, right answer. Yes, but this is our 5th webinar, like I said, and I'm really excited about this topic. And we have been talking in our webinars and with our customers about the benefits of immersive learning. And this is something that we are really, really excited here in 3D Talo. And also, I'm happy and glad to say that also many of our customers have found the benefits of the immersive learning. But I would like to start by defining the few terms we are going to use in this webinar, and it's good to go through. Even the part of these are quite familiar to many of us here joining us today. But let's start with the learner and the different learning types. That's really important part to know when we are talking about why immersive learning is beneficial. So as you might know, there is a different learning types. There are visual learners who learn by, for example, from videos or other visual material. There are auditory learners who learn by hearing, for example, in a classroom. And hands-on learners who learn by doing and actually touching and feeling the things that they are learning. And there are also reading and writing learners. So these are the different main different learning types, and it's not that like simple and black and white that we are only one of these learning types. We are a combination of different kind of types, but these are the main key learning types, and I will use this as an example later on. Also, the word immersive is something that we have been already mentioned and are going to mention many times in this webinar. And the key definition of immersive is that immersive content is really engaging. So immersive and engaging are like going hand by hand in many cases. So how we can engage the is it student or new employee, how we can engage them to the content that we are providing them. So immersive is engaging and more like an experience than like a traditional lecture or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the benefit of the immersive learning, we are talking about this immersive learning curve, and there is two things or two parts that needs to take under consideration is the scalability and the effectiveness of the training. And here on the left side up corner, we can see that the manuals and the videos, those are really scalable way to provide content. No matter are you a training manager in company or are you a teacher, we all know that it's easy, relatively easy to make good content, text content and videos and, for example, pictures, and share those in an e-learning platform or via email. But the effectiveness is something that we and also the research show that is not good when you are sharing only that kind of material. It's good for the reading and writing and also the visual learning types, but the effectiveness is not that good as it can be. When we move on in this line, the next we have the classroom meetings or the lectures or classroom orientation. It is a beneficial way or effective way to provide the content. There is this interactive part also, which is really important. And because of the COVID, also the interactive part and interaction between students and student and teacher has been really low, and that's one concerning topic nowadays in schools, I would say. But like I was saying, the classes and the classroom, it's not that scalable, but more effective. And when we go down to our first curve, the on-job or on-site in school and one-to-one mentorship is the most effective way to provide teaching content to students or new employees. But here in the picture comes the different learning types, because as you can see from these different methods, there are good parts for every for every different learning types. But with immersive learning, you can actually connect or combine the good parts of the traditional training methods. And actually, when we move on to the next slide, we can go through like the existing situation and what's the we would say that it's a part of future, even that many of the companies are actually nowadays using also the immersive learning and immersive training. But when we start from the left side, the traditional learning, which were mentioned in the last slide, the classroom, for example, the manuals and videos. Those, even the classroom is something that it's quite engaging. The content is quite engaging when there is a teacher and there is students in the same classroom. And also there is this behavioral insights. So the teacher can follow what happens in the classroom. Teacher can react. For example, if he or she is teaching something, and the teacher realized that no one in the classroom didn't really realize what the teacher is trying to teach the students. So that's like an interaction between teacher and the students is in traditional learning. But when we move on to the e-learning part, which is not new, I would say that it has been here quite a long time. For example, different kind of e-learning platforms in education. When the e-learning came to picture, the benefits of the e-learning came also at the same time. For example, the flexible location and flexible timing. So anyone can learn and go through the content whenever they want. Also, the standardized training is something that came to the picture when the e-learning platforms came to the education sector. It's also a really scalable way, and also the usage data is easy to collect. But the things that are missing here in the e-learning are actually the engaging part. So when you are sending for example, you're using Moodle e-learning environment and putting an assignment there and the deadline for the assignment, you can track that is the students doing the assignment, returning it on time, and that kind of data you can collect. But it's not that easy to measure that. Do the students really learn, and what did they learn? What was the things that they didn't realize in this content? And the engaging and the behavioral insights are missing in e-learning. Mm-hmm. But like I said, the combination of the good things comes in an immersive learning. So when you're using a virtual environment instead of just plain text and videos, you can really engage the students in this case, in this example. When you're using the VR headset, you are really in that training session or in that virtual lecture. You can't do anything at the same time. You can't check your mobile phone, you can't check your email. You are really in that situation because you have the glasses on. But even if you are using the on-screen version of the immersive learning and virtual environments, we can build it really engaging content there. So it's not just by learning by watching, it's actually learning by watching and doing and hearing and seeing. So once again, combining the different learning types. Also, the behavioral insights is easy to follow from the high-tech end. For example, eye tracking in VR glasses is something that we can do nowadays quite easily, and we can follow. But with the engaging material inside the virtual environments, for example, questions and all that different kind of interactions, we can follow the behavioral insights and actually improve our content constantly. Also, we can track, collect the usage data and track trackable return of investment. We can follow, we can develop the material and collect feedback easily with your virtual environments. And also all the e-learning benefits, flexible location, flexible timing, and all that. So after this quite long monologue about the benefits of immersive learning, I would say that it's like combining traditional learning to e-learning, all the great parts, and providing content to different learning types. That is what immersive learning is made of.
Right.
And here are some few statistics, because we don't want to just say that it's awesome and new, like a new black of training. There is a lot of research behind this, and here are a few examples. I have been mentioning that the immersive, or in the virtual environments, the learning is more like an experience than like a lecture in a classroom. When it's more an experience, it provides different kind of content to different learning types and combines the benefits. That's the reason why it's actually also faster. So it's according to studies, it's 4 times faster than a classroom education or training. The confident level to apply or use the new skills you have learned is something that is also really great, that it increases according to studies almost 3 times. It's almost 3 times bigger than with the traditional training methods. And in education field, this means, for example, that before the training period in actual workplace, you can train the parts of or the things that you are going to do in your training in actual workplace. You can train those before you even go there, and your confidence level is higher, and you are more ready to start the work and actually also learn more during that training period.
Yeah, Mitri. So if we compare it to the current situation where the students would prepare through watching some videos of other people doing that kind of training and trying to implement it when they start the traineeship in a company, they now could have the chance to get the hands-on experience before even going to that company and doing the work themselves, right?
Yes, exactly. And that doesn't only mean that you are more ready to like give your effort to that training place or the workplace where you are going. You can learn the basics before you go there, and after that you can like go more detailed in that training period and learn more. Mm-hmm. That's true. And also in the last slide I mentioned about the how focused and more emotionally connected, what is the reason behind these, but also the statistics are quite interesting that actually the VR learners were 4 times more focused than their e-learning person. And the reason behind that is that when you're using the VR classes, you are doing it, you're experiencing it. You can't do anything else at the same time.
And it's like a game, like we mentioned, so the students actually enjoy the experience much more than just looking at the screen and just waiting. They are interactively involved inside that. Yeah,
that's true. So these are the shortly, like you asked, shortly the benefits of immersive learning.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dmitry. Yeah, it was a great summary actually. And like you mentioned, these numbers are collected through specific researches, studies to understand how immersive learning can be beneficial in higher education. And moving next, one of the first uses of VR in higher education was actually to train students' soft skills. So virtual reality used by universities around the world to improve the communication skills essential for employment after graduation. So why people go to universities, they want to train themselves, improve themselves in some area, and then get a job in the end in that area. So to do that, to improve the communication skills are very essential actually. And obviously, these communication skills require realistic practice, such as being able to talk in stressful situations. And that's quite impossible to achieve on a consistent basis with traditional online learning methods, you can imagine. It basically does not feel the same when a student is joining the lesson through the camera. Even when he needs to speak out, the feeling is much different than when you would be speaking in front of a group of people. Within VR, students can practice soft skills whenever they want and receive feedback on their performance with features such as speech analysis. Considering also that a large percentage of people have speech anxiety, practicing in VR provides a safe environment that allows people to perform just like you're in front of a real life audience. Universities from Europe, North America, and Australia are using these technologies to improve their students' ability, especially in two areas nowadays: public speaking, like I mentioned, and job interviews. Public speaking is always going to be a value for any type of employee in their professional lives, either if you say one-to-one meetings with their managers, colleagues, or when they need to do some presentations, for example. VR allows them to practice it in most realistic ways. And when it comes to the job interviews, it is the very first step many students will need to take after graduation and even before graduation. And applying for jobs and going through interviews are usually the first test students will go through jumping into the business world. Making them go through this realistic interview experience is quite time-consuming and difficult for educational organizations. And even when it's planned properly, it might just feel unnatural for the students because of the lack of engagement. And moreover, some students even don't have a chance to go through a sample interview before their first real one. Imagine that you're going to your first interview without any relevant preparation, practice, and then compare it to knowing that you previously nailed it so many times before. The confidence that it gives students brings out the best of the candidates, brings out their potential. And many of us probably also practiced our speeches looking at the mirror and repeating our words and sentences, but it's a monologue, it's not interactive. And using virtual reality, now we have the chance to test our communication skills in an interactive way. And because there will be reactions and questions from the virtual environments and virtual people inside that environment to actually what you are saying. And moving forward, another point where virtual reality has clear positive impact for education sector is that social VR applications also help reduce the high dropout rates from universities. And nowadays it's very much associated with the online courses. A lot of students are facing focus issues, which decreases the efficiency of teaching content, like Mitri showed with numbers as well. But by using virtual reality, remote students feel more connected and less isolated. It is certain, like, books will always be an integral part of the university. We are not denying that, but when teaching people in geographically different locations, the benefits of VR and the social connection it creates are huge. So at this point, let's move from why we do this, why we do it. We try to show it with examples and numbers, and now we are moving forward to how we actually do it. There are actually various ways to implement VR in educational institutions, but today the two most commonly used forms of content creation are 360-degree environments, like you would be seeing on the social media, but of course much more improved version of that, and 3D modeled images, in other words, handcrafted content. 360-degree videos replicate actual educational environments most closely and realistically because it is filmed in those locations. It is excellent for teaching situational awareness, operational procedures, also even customer service tasks or vocational tasks, hard skills. And on the other hand, 3D modeled courses, like you can see in the presentation right now, are most effective for the soft skills trainings today. So Mitri, do you want to share some successful examples that virtual reality was used in educational platforms for us?
Yes, of course, I would like to share. Let's start with one of our recent cooperation with University of Tampere.
Sorry.
That was a short introduction to that case. Yes, the University of Tampere. The whole idea, actually, as you can see from this picture, we have used 3D model environment in that case. And the challenge in University of Tampere, and also this is related to University of Eastern Finland, was that when they are actually this physics training, when they are doing it in a laboratory, the problem was that they could only test one or try one example in one hour or in one lecture. And the case is that here you can see the gray line, and this round part here is a lens. And the things that they are teaching here is that how the light breaks through the glass and different kind of lenses. And as I mentioned, they have been using this kind of in actual life and actual world, and it has been challenging because of the COVID, and also it has been challenging because of they can test only one type of lens in one lecture. So this virtual learning environment is a really good example of combining the benefits of immersive learning. So nowadays, when they are using this, they can have teacher and 5 students, and it's not related to where the students are living. So they can use it from Tampere, from Kuopio, and all the other parts of the world where they want. So teacher and 5 students can gather themselves in the same virtual environment. They can have the interaction side, so there's a sound. They can hear that the teacher are giving the instructions, and they can have the discussions there. But what they can do also, they can grab different kind of lenses from there, back of the wall, and try those, putting those to the same line and see how the light breaks in a different way, and also see the mathematic part here. So this is like combining the interactive part, combining the benefit of the virtual environment. You can come there wherever you live. And also it gives a lot of more like opportunities to learn in same time than in a traditional lab condition, for example. So that's one university example. And we also want to point out a few examples from the company side. We have been talking about soft skills, and it's the opposite of it is in the hard skills. So when you are actually doing something. In this PEAS case, this is a great example of the soft skills training in VR. And the basic idea here is quite simple, but when we are piloting this with the customer, we have been seeing that it's quite efficient way to see what kind of the best customer experience can be from different point of views. So simply the idea is that you can see different kind of customer experience situations from 3 different point of views, from the employee side, from the customer side, and from the third part side, from outside. You can see the same situation and see how to react as an employee, for example, for a challenging customer situation, or you can see from the customer point of view how it feels like when you are angry and the employee is handling the situation well. So this is really basic, like from the technical side, but really efficient way to show the examples to current and the new employees. And the last version, we have been talking a lot of virtual reality here, but actually we can provide the so-called hybrid version of all of our immersive learning solutions. The hybrid version here means that you can use it using the virtual reality classes, but also from the on-screen side. So basically your own laptop or mobile phone. This is a staffing company working here in Eastern Finland called Osuma, henkilöstöpalvelut in Finnish, and they are hiring constantly new scaffolding installers, which you can see here in the picture. The one challenge is that there is no education in a vocational school for scaffolding installers. And there is a really big need of this kind of expertise in this area and also in whole Finland. So the Osuma wanted to have this immersive training environment where they can teach the new scaffolding installers, for example, from the safety point of view, and actually also how to, for example, build the scaffolds. And they are using this material can be used in virtual reality or in an on-screen version. And the great part here is that this is also connected to education. The Osuma is using this same material in cooperation with vocational schools in future, so they can help. Like I said, there is no scaffold installer education in vocational school, so they can provide the content. So this is a really good example of cooperation between company and the education sector here.
Okay, and the examples you give actually shows the vision of like the content can be actually anything. What you want to teach to your students or employees, the content can be customizable.
Yes, and that's the great part here, because we haven't faced like a situation where us and the customer says that, okay, I don't think that immersive training or learning can be beneficial for these purposes.
Yeah.
So this is a really you can use it in a really wide sector.
Okay, great. I think these examples clearly shows how also it can be implemented in different subjects of learning, like I mentioned. And I think that was it, right? Thank you for everyone for listening up until here. But if we have any questions, let's go through them now.
We actually have 2 questions here. Should we start with the first one? And the question is that what is the training workload in hours to get 4 times faster learning process? Would you like me to answer to this question?
Sure, please.
Actually, the answer is that we don't have the current value or the number how many hours. But one example from Walmart and Street VR case.
I think Mitri has lost connection.
I'm here back.
Okay, yes. It's freezing right now. Let's hold on like a 30 seconds for Mitri to come back.
Now I'm back again. Can you now hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Now it works.
Now it works. Sorry for that. So I was about to giving an example from the Walmart. So they had these pickup towers or have these pickup towers in their every store. And the original version was that there was a team moving with the pickup tower and teaching the employees to install it. And it took approximately 8 hours per user or employee to train how to set up the pickup tower and how to use it. And with virtual reality, they have changed the training model in that they are not there is no team traveling with the pickup tower, and they only send the VR glasses, and there you can see, or the employees can see 4 to 5 minutes videos or the training sessions, 4 to 5 minutes length training sessions, how to use the pickup tower. And actually they have managed to come from 8 hours to 15 minutes, totally 15 minutes of VR training, and actually provide the same content and the same expertise to new employees. So that means that it can be really shorter one, the virtual reality, and the studies prove that it's like or says that it's 4 to 5 minutes VR sessions are the best one to use in VR.
Yeah, actually, in an effort, if we think about the effort that's put into, like Ipanyan was asking, the workload, the effort is actually the same, but because the focus of the students are much more right, and the content is readily available to provide all the time, that improves the learning process, like it gets its speed up.
Yes, that's
and
true.
The next question from Isma was, what tools do you use to create the 3D models and the content in them? Would you like me to answer this, Dmitry? And then you can comment if I miss something.
Yes.
So at 3D Tello, we are actually not only people that are experts in the training sector, but also we have visual designers and developers. So first, we use 360 cameras, technical cameras and microphones to record the environments. We just go to the institution and record that and then do the necessary editing, or if the organization do not request the 360 version, we just create the 3D models by our visual designers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We have
and in future, I would like to add there actually that in future we are or we see that the future of immersive learning is that in future the customers or the schools and the education sector can easily create their own virtual environments and immersive learning. So that's something that we see, and many of the companies in this field sees that that's the future of company, and maybe that's also something that we are aiming for.
Okay, great. Is there another question? 1 second.
Yes.
I was wondering, longer duration session might create some discomfort to the VR learners.
That's correct. So that's the reason why the 4 to 5 minutes are the best time to have the VR. But the good part here is that you can actually provide the same content in minutes, not in hours, that in a traditional learning.
Yes, exactly. And maybe I can ask you a question so that also the how the project goes is clear for our participants. So how does a project collaboration with a university, for example, could look like? Can you name the stages that we go through?
Yeah. We call the first stages, the first one is the evaluation part. So where basically we are going through the current state of training. What are the current methods, and also what are the bottlenecks of the current methods. Then we have this so-called brainstorming, which means that we are going through all the ideas, all the wide scale of the ideas. What are the use cases of immersive learning? And I can say from more than 20 experience of that brainstorming that there are a lot of ideas when we give a free hand that, okay, now you can give all the ideas that you have for the immersive learning. There are a lot of ideas, but that's only a great thing, because after the brainstorming, we have find out with our customers that even that we have a wide scale of ideas and wide scale of future immersive learning platforms, it's really great to start from something and make this, we are calling it proof of concept stage. And this has been really beneficial for most of our customers that, okay, we have these ideas and maybe the people in the brainstorming meeting needs to convince the other people in their organization that this is something that we should do. And we can provide the statistics and the research that this is beneficial, but it's best to test in the real life situation. So the stage is the proof of concept. So we will build part of a training, or for example, this Tampere University case is a good example of proof of concept, even it's quite big at the moment. But that's something that they can see the value in their organization, and also share the information that we have done this kind of concept and we are using this. Mm-hmm. So that's and after the proof of concept, there is the sky is only a limit after that. So we can turn the traditional training methods, not all, because there is, like Orkun, you said, there is a place for books, for example, in future also. We would like to think that way also, but we can all the things that you can move to the immersive world, we can turn those, and then we can for example build different kind of platforms, analytics, and that. But the key point what I want to underline here is that be brave enough to have this first proof of concept, because then you can see it in your own eyes what's the real value.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Dmitry. And thank you everyone again for joining us. If you have further questions, it's our name at 3dtalopis.fi, our email addresses, or you can connect us on LinkedIn as well. And hoping to keep in touch in the next webinar as well. Thank you.
Yes, and the last thing I would like to mention is that when you are in the teaching or education sector and thinking about that, what new should I bring to the next semester, please contact us, because I'm quite sure that at least we can give an ideas of how to use immersive learning. So please contact us and let's talk more.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.